SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. The wait is over.
Let's get this thing started.
Go!
Hello, everyone. We are live for episode 97 of the In or Out Sports Debate. I am your host, Drew Willingham, along with this week's special returning panelist. He is currently a 17-time Vault of Fame inductee of the In or Out Sports Debate. Coming up in this place with the fire every single time, and one fire background behind him right now as he sits. Please welcome back the number one Vault of Fame inductee, Joey Raymond. Welcome back, brother.
What's up? I've missed you, Drewby. I've missed you.
Well, man, the dew is in the house as we are here and ready to rock. Speaking of dew, the hair has gotten much longer out here. Someone's going to get a nice weave at some point here in 2023. Looking forward to having a shorter hair like my man Joseph over here in the background at some point. But right now, the weave is flowing strong. It's all good to go. But, we've had 96 previous episodes, great episodes, and you've been a part of them 17 times, Joey. And with that, as we always do here at the beginning of the show, we have to pay homage to the Vault of Fame.
Acknowledge me.
Man, you took me back. This is why this show was so important, and this is why I am personally validating and vouching for this show. If you are anybody in media, sports, professional wrestling, anything, you need to be on In or Out Sports Debate with my man Drew Willingham, because this has got to be one of the most fun things I've ever done in a long time.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the In or Out Sports Debate's Vault of Fame, which you can find here on the audio platforms listed here on Spotify, Amazon Prime, as well as iTunes, most specifically. And you can check out SIRTOBA Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the new YouTube channel, as well as at SIRTOBA.com, where the struggle is real to be awesome. We are back with good old JR, Joey Raymond, for episode 97. And Joey's rocking a Cubs jersey tonight. And, I'm rocking a DC Cubs jersey, the retro jersey for my baseball team. And actually have to give them a mother-fathering shout-out right here as Joseph. Can you believe it? DC Cubs defeated the Waverly Warriors 18-6 on Saturday and 14-6 on Sunday to sweep the series. DC Cubs advanced to the Virginia Commonwealth Baseball League semifinals for the second consecutive season. Best of 5 series starts next Saturday against the Chuckatuck Trotters. Joseph, we're on the road. We got these first 2 games. How are you liking it? I mean, you've been following the coverage of this Cubs team so far this year. How are you liking what's going on with this team?
Dude, y'all's offense is, I mean, my goodness. Every time that I see you post something, y'all have scored 14 here, 18 there. Like y'all can swing the bat a little bit. I like a good offensive prowess when it comes to a baseball team. Yeah, I mean, I wish you guys the best of luck, man. It's been a fun season to kind of follow along with for sure.
Definitely. I mean, it was a great start to the season. We were undefeated through the first 5 games and then finished 2-4 the last 6 games. And we were in first place most of the season with about a week or 2 left. We fell to second. And then the last weekend, we just couldn't get it right. And we fell to third. So we were third place in the bracket, swept the first round, which is best 2 out of 3. Now we've got the best of 5 series coming up this week. 1 game a day. This can last 2.5 weeks. It goes all 5. We're hoping to keep the momentum strong, though, and to finish this one as early as possible, get some rest going into what could potentially be a 7-game championship series if everything works out in the semifinals.
Yeah, so. And that would be awesome. Yeah, best of luck to you guys for sure. I wore my Cubs jersey in honor of you today.
I appreciate that. It's been a long, bumpy road, with my own self and getting back on the show, and then having that in my corner throughout the season has been uplifting to me too, and just to be able to do the things that I've done, which they're doing the work on the field. I'm doing the coaching stuff on the scenes, nowhere any close to what they're doing production wise, but it's still a part of it, and to be a part of it is something special. So having these things in your corner can definitely be uplifting, and we've got that going on tonight for episode 97. It's hard to believe that I'm almost at 97. Just started back in June of 2020. So you can go back, find the first 90 episodes on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. You can find 91 through present day here on SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. I'll give it to you real quick.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
What a great video, man. The graphics on that is incredible.
I appreciate it, man. Collaboration, having some friends out here in these streets doing the same thing. We work together, and I can't vouch for them enough. The great work they do, and we work together on certain things. So, guys, we've gone through the Vault of Fame. We are here at the introduction of the show. It is now time for Joseph to enter round 1.
Round 1.
Joey here for round 1. The ACC versus SEC challenge will lead to better basketball in both leagues. How do you feel about this statement at hand right here? Are you in or are you out on this one?
Well, as someone who has ties deeply to both the ACC and the SEC, I love that they even created this challenge to begin with. The day that Virginia Tech plays Kentucky will be absolute hell in my household. Because for those of you that know me, I went to Virginia Tech, but a huge chunk of my family is from Lexington, Kentucky, in or around that area. So they're, popped out the womb and it was like Kentucky basketball. So, in general, I love this idea. But when it comes to the topic, I'm absolutely in. This is something that I personally have been wanting forever, just because, in my opinion, when it comes to basketball, the 2 best leagues out there are the ACC and the SEC when it comes to basketball. You talk about the legendary schools on both sides, from Duke and Kentucky and North Carolina. And even last year, you talk about like Alabama, who made a really big run. So both of these leagues already have really good basketball. And then you sit and look at the schedules that they have put out for both the men's and the women's ACC versus SEC challenge. In my opinion, they did way better with the women than they did with the men. But regardless, you're talking about getting some marquee really big names to play each other and to go at it. And I really think that that's only going to turn into better competition. And you know what they say, iron sharpens iron. So, when you get matchups like this and you are really trying to make a more competitive, style of basketball and a more competitive brand of basketball, I really think that overall it's going to be a great thing for both the ACC and the SEC. I think it's going to lead to some incredible matchups. And honestly, I can't wait for it. You know what I really can't wait for? The fact that on the women's side, they've got Virginia Tech going up against LSU again. And as someone who followed the Virginia Tech women last year, to see them fall in the Final Four to LSU, I cannot wait to see those two go head-to-head again.
Yeah, and I definitely, when it comes to this topic right here, I got to agree with Joey 100%. I'm in as well. I mean, Joey broke it down like very beautifully. Like, there's not really much I can say to really help with his statement. Basically with him going on about the fact of the two of them with the level of competition between both leagues, there's certain competition that you really don't get to see on a regular basis when it comes to when you're in the two separate leagues. So when you have the ACC and the SEC challenge, it gives, the fans out there and a different aspect of the view of the game where you can see different talents collide in more of a setting than the actual NCAA tournament March Madness. So when I put all that perspective and I think about the matchups that we'll see, not only on the floor, but coaching matchups that we'll see, as there's still some of the legendary coaches out there as well in both leagues, men's and women's. So when we see that going on between the two, you see some interesting challenge up here for this, especially for this upcoming season. And I know Joey's very excited about it, as Joey is I like basketball, but Joey's even a bigger homer for basketball, men's and women's, especially in the area that he is in, and with what he gets to cover. So it's definitely awesome to see that. But we do have some comments, Joey, that we have to acknowledge before we go any further. And looks like we got Dietz in here saying Joey Raymond entering Peyton territory at number 18. The 18th appearance here on the show definitely is.
And then I responded, I'm just saying it's good company.
Our friend Ike doesn't give a fuck is in the house. Definitely is excited because we've got Joseph back in the house. Not if Drew is Tom Brady, laugh out loud. Yeah, I'm 97, so whatever, that's why I guess we're debating the best to wear the number, because, hey, we could get to like number 107 and the best to wear, and I put my name in there, and then you guys got to debate if I'm the best to wear 107 or not. Who knows? We'll see how it goes over the course of the next 10 episodes. We got Ike saying, holy shnikes, number 97. All hyped about the 97 that we have here on this show. Listening in at work, have a great show. Give them heck, Ike. That's definitely what Ike is definitely known for. Absolutely. And then we got Dietz again with the best leagues, the Big East, Villanova and UConn, more recent championship than the ACC and the SEC. And he does have a good point there. What do you think, Joey?
So I see what he's saying, and I understand both Villanova and UConn for both of those. But with the ACC SEC challenge, it's more of like a season thing. And so for a seasonal matchup, Villanova and UConn don't really draw a whole lot. Whereas you get a lot of the big name brands in the SEC versus the ACC. I think it'll lead to a lot more viewership in that. I do agree to a point, but the Big East is such a small conference that, when it comes to stuff like that, I don't think there's really ever going to be a Big East challenge.
We also have another comment from Ike doesn't give a fuck, and he says Villanova is trash Dietz. Well, first of all, Ike, you spelled Dietz wrong, and I need you to understand that when it comes to English.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Absolutely, because that's not how you spell Dietz. Joey, how do you feel about Villanova being trash, says Ike?
I mean, I don't even know. I haven't seen Villanova be relevant in a little bit, but I feel like UConn is a much better team. I think Villanova could make a comeback, but they still got to do a rebuild.
I mean, he didn't say UConn. He just said Villanova. He said
I know.
Villanova's trash.
Villanova's still got to do a rebuild. UConn is better in that division out of the two that Dietz gave.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. I'm inclined to slightly agree.
and with Joey saying, I got to throw this up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It comes to that. So, slow your roll when it comes to saying Villanova is trash. Now, if you want to, get ready to rumble, we'll do that here in a second. But we're about to go to round 2. And speaking of let's get ready to rumble, I have to throw this out there for Joseph because I forgot to do it for round 1.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Round 2.
Round 2, Joey. Another topic that you wrote very well for this one and the suggestions for the topic for the show. And for this one, this says the Baltimore Orioles will win the AL East this season. How do you feel about this one, Joey? Do you agree with the statement at hand right here? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I am out. See, I wrote it that way to trick you, Drew.
I know you get me back.
So I'm actually okay. Don't get me wrong. I have come on this show and I have raved about the Baltimore Orioles and how I love their farm system and how I love them as a team, and that is still true. But when it's all said and done, I really have the Tampa Bay Rays being on top here. I feel like they've been a more consistent team. I feel like they have better starting pitching depth.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I just really feel like they're a better overall squad than the Baltimore Orioles. Now, if we turn around tomorrow and we come to find out that the Baltimore Orioles picked up a starting pitcher, off of the trade deadline, then I'm going to flip my tune real quick and in a hurry because I think that the Baltimore Orioles are one pitcher away from being like a major World Series contender. Because they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to make a lot of noise, and they're going to be dangerous. But they're not going to win this division. I think that the Tampa Bay Rays are too solid of a team. And before you make the point, I'm going to go ahead and make it for you, Drew. I already know that the Baltimore Orioles went into St. Pete and already beat them 2 out of 3, this last series. But I still have faith in the Tampa Bay Rays. I feel like they're going to come out on top. The Baltimore Orioles are a really fun team to watch, but I just don't think that they can hold out for the course of the rest of the season.
Very good point. Very good point. And this one's tough because when it comes to the Tampa Bay Rays have been a very consistent team over the year, like you said, with the pitching and with everything involved. And over the recent years, they have definitely been a powerhouse in many ways. Not like winning the division every single year, but at the top of it, or getting the wild card, or winning the division sometimes, and even going to the World Series, making appearances over the last decade. Sometimes. So it's tough to go against them. However, I played the clip. Let's get ready to rumble, and it's time for me to disagree. I am out. All right, people.
Let me talk to you.
Absolutely. It's time to let you know what is going on in these streets of Baltimore. The Baltimore Orioles have been playing very, very well this year. And yes, they are at the top of the AL East, and they only have one more game than the Tampa Bay Rays because the Rays have played a few more games than the Orioles have this year. But when I think about what the Orioles have done, especially in the last 10 games, they're 7-3 in the last 10 games. 10-game stretches are tough to pull off, and especially when it comes to having more wins than losses. When you have 70% winning percentage in the last 10 games, you're at the top of the charts. If the season ended today, they would be at the top of the standings, and I have to go off of what's going on right now. I don't know what's going to happen between now, which is we have 1 week left of July, then we have a whole month of August and part of September before the end of the regular season to determine who is at the top of the chain. Now, anything, of course, can happen: injuries, a bad trade. So we still have that, we still have a little bit more time on the trade deadline. Anything can happen there. But there's been something special about this team in Baltimore this year, Joey. There's something, when you watch the games, it's very similar-esque to how the Cincinnati Reds have been playing since Ellie De La Cruz came to the Reds. Okay. And then you got to think on top of that, now the Milwaukee Brewers are in the same division as Cincinnati Reds. And with what happened with their rookie Sal Frelick the other day, with having that historic debut going 3 for 3 and driving in RBIs that helped win that game, the Orioles have a very young team. And just like with you saying, they have a great farm system. Until they prove me otherwise, I'm going to go with what I see right now, not just on paper, but production-wise. And yes, the Rays are up there. That's why I said it was tough. It's like 1A, 1B right now. They're both going to get in the playoffs as of right now, in my opinion. One's going to be the leader in the division, which, in my opinion right now, would be the Orioles. You think it's the Rays. And the other way around, it's going to be whoever doesn't get the top spot is going to get the actual wild card spot. Agreed. And I have to give credit where it's due. The Orioles have been playing better than they've played in very recent memory, have been knocking on the door over the years and trying to get up there, and they're finally here now. It's just, how will you look by September is the biggest question. And the Rays have proven it, so they can get to September and make it to the playoffs, just haven't gone through all the way with it. But the Orioles, it's been 40 years, Joey, 40 motherfathering years, and I feel like it's time for them to break the mold and get another championship.
Well, and it's funny because I remember coming on this show last year, and I was like, Drew, watch out, man, because the Orioles are coming. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, this year they have done nothing but prove me as a genius. Because, they really are so close. And I really do feel like they're one solid starter away from being a serious World Series contender. And the way that they've built that team, and with all of their really young talent, and a lot of their young talent is signed long term, they could make a couple runs at this thing. It's one of those things that the Orioles, they could be arguably one of the most dangerous teams for years to come. And then you made a point about Ellie De La Cruz, and let me tell you, first of all, is the most exciting player in the major leagues right now. Second of all, the Cincinnati Reds are another team that has a very, very deep minor league system. We could be talking an Orioles-Reds World Series a couple years from now. And just think about how crazy of a concept that is, because you would have thought, okay, as per usual, you're going to have like the Yankees be involved, or you're going to have like, the Padres or the Dodgers. But no, we're sitting here talking about two of the smallest markets in Major League Baseball actually competing and going to create a World Series contender. And that's just incredible to me. I can't. Oh my goodness. I gotta slow down a little bit though, because I'm gonna get on my soapbox next topic for sure. But, yeah, for real, man.
Well, speaking of soapbox, we got some soapbox comments we got to acknowledge before we go any further. And Villanova is trash. That's my UConn pride. But they did win back-to-back titles a few years ago, says Dietz. How do you feel about this with what he says to combat with the round one discussion with Ike?
No, and I think that's true. And I think the big reason why the Big East is able to do what they do is because there's not a lot of film on them. And they're able to get these, legacy players, and they're really, they're able to get a lot of really good talent. They're able to get the most out of what talent that they get. And they have some of the best basketball facilities in the entire country. But what I think people are realizing is that basketball can be maybe not as much of a moneymaker as football, but you can make some money off of your basketball program. And so these smaller programs really investing in that. And, the SEC and the ACC are really trying to, kind of catch on to that bandwagon. So, Villanova's trash right now. They did win a couple, championships back in the day. But, yeah, I don't know, man. The Big East, just there's nothing striking about them to me right now, other than UConn. But they lost a lot of their players, so
yeah, they really did. Time moves on. They got to leave. They can't stay there forever. They only get a few years of eligibility there while they're in that school, and they got to move on. And Dietz definitely threw it down there, and I have to give him credit on that. He definitely basically told Ike this:
"You should know your role and shut your mouth."
Absolutely, like, of course, You and I know Ike, and you do not do that. I said what I said. Eat. So, what you were saying didn't really make sense.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And especially when he says this next, Joey. New York Yankees will win the AL East. Ike.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, no, to the no, no.
Joseph, give your thoughts on this.
The Yankees are 9 games back. There's no way, and there's no way, none, absolutely none. If the Yankees can somehow miraculously win several games in a row, they may make one of the wild card spots, considering the fact that there's extra wild card spots this year, just like there was last year. But there's no way that they win the AL East. You're smoking crack, Ike.
Yeah, Ike, they're 53-47. Yes, they have a winning record, but they're 4-6 in their last 10 games, and they're tied for last with the Red Sox right now. And who knows? If we really go deep enough into it, the Red Sox might have the tiebreaker to be up on the Yankees right now. So why are you picking the Yankees to win the AL East? I know there's still plenty of time, and anything can happen, but that's definitely not happening. Like,
no.
When it comes to you making picks for like DraftKings or FanDuel or whatnot, I would have to be your boss. Say
You're fired.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, and on another note,
Would you please shut the hell up?
All right, back to the comments. And what do you know? They're from Ike. Orioles and Reds in the World Series, ? Well, I mean, Joey, I feel like that was a great preview of what, a great estimated guess on what could happen. He's not saying it's going to happen this year, Ike. It could potentially still happen if they still continue to be hot. But next year, by 2025 at least, we could see this happening if these two teams build around the young stars that they have.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying that it will happen for the record, but it could happen. And it would be really cool if it did. I mean, two of the smaller franchises in Major League Baseball competing for a World Series would be pretty freaking sweet. I'd have no idea who to cheer for, but it'd be fun to watch.
Yeah, because Joseph is a homer for both of them. Joseph's a homer for like 6 different Major League teams. So if you get 2 of them in the World Series, it's going to be tough. But when it comes to this prediction of the Orioles and Reds in the World Series at some point, we both feel the same way when it comes to that. Absolutely. Rocking and rolling with the yeses out here. We have one more comment throughout this one round as well, as he asked, what are you smoking, Joseph?
Nothing currently. I know it may seem like it, but I'm just excited to be back on the show, man. I went on, don't get me wrong. Like, the biggest reason that I was not on the show for as long as I was because I took a step back. Took a much needed vacation and wasn't even on social media really, wasn't even doing either job, whether it be for Legacy Maker Sports Network or for Geek Squad. I just took a step back, took a deep breath, and now I'm back and ready to roll. Because I took a much needed mental health break there for a little bit, but I'm definitely glad to be back.
No, man. I mean, I understand it. We all been there. You got to take a little break here and there, recover mentally, physically, whatever you got going on. Sometimes you just need a little bit of a reprieve from what you got going on. And Joseph is not smoking anything, but to you, Ike, for some of your comments, I have to give you this.
Stay off the weed.
We've gone through 2 great rounds so far on this show. Thank you guys. Even if they are some outlandish comments from Ike, keep the comments coming. They're definitely great entertainment for us here on the show. We're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll go into round 3 and see what we got in store for that one. We'll see you guys here on the other side.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
And now a word from a non-accredited sponsor.
This episode of the In or Out Sports Debate is brought to you by Peanut Butter and Jealous. When you're feeling a little blue based on what others are doing around you, spread a little peanut butter and jealous on your sandwich to make yourself feel whole again.
Yeah. But hey, that was last year. And what did he was out.
Right. And now he's in.
But he's been out for an entire year. It's not, you can't think he's going to make the same impact that he did before he was suspended.
I'm telling you, he won't have to.
What?
See how
Is he going to keep his phone down and not make bets? Come on, man.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look. Hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. Hey, $ DWillie87. Go ahead, hit him up on the Cash App, and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen. Stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks, and we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. How about some Willie Bucks?
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Welcome back to a show where we have just as many commercials as a TNT broadcast, the Sports Senseis Unleashed.
I hate you, Drew.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the In or Out Sports Debate, episode number 97 with the one and only JR, Joey Raymond. We are back as we've gone through two great rounds so far on 97, and we got three more to go. Let's see what we got in store for round three.
Round 3.
And here for round three, the Los Angeles Angels should be sellers this trade deadline and start a rebuild. Joey, how do you feel about this round three topic right here? Do you agree with the statement? Are you in or are you out on this one?
You're about to fight me. I'm out.
Joseph, explain.
Y'all should have looked at Drew's face before he hit the. Okay. Now there is a line for my logic here. Okay. The GM and the owner have already come out and said that they are not trading Shohei this season. Period. Point blank. They're not going to do it. And honestly, that kind of makes sense because I don't think that you're going to be able to get enough of a return from Shohei to justify getting rid of Shohei. That and they want to sign him long-term. And if you want to sign him long-term, you're not going to trade him. That's just not how that's going to work. Now, with that being said, the Angels really aren't like that far out of contention. They are within the ability to contend. So they could go out and they could buy and really become contenders. They're not nearly in as bad of shape as far as contending as like the Yankees or the Red Sox, like we talked about earlier. Now, if anyone on the Angels is listening, I'm going to give y'all some free advice. Go call up the freaking Oakland Athletics because they're always sellers. They always are. And go get Paul Blackburn. All right. He's a starting pitcher who in his last 7 starts has gone a minimum of 5 innings, which the Angels need so desperately. Their starting pitching is awful. And so if you go and get a starter like that who's going to consistently give you at minimum 5 innings of good, solid baseball, I think that he would be great. And if you pair him up with a bench player like Brent Rooker would be a solid player to pair with that. You could do that duo. And then when you're done with the phone call from the Oakland Athletics, call up the Cincinnati Reds, who are sitting on a wealth of prospects, an absolute wealth. And trade for outfielder Nick Senzel because he can help fill in for Mike Trout, considering Mike Trout is gone until at least September. And once you have that, then pair Nick Senzel with a starting pitching prospect that they have in the minors who is ready to start right now. Or you can pick up one of their main guys, I don't care who, and go pick up one of their starters, and then you have two starters to go along with the starters that you have now to pair with Ohtani and make a run at it. And then while you're at it, after you finish calling the Reds, call the Cubs and go get Cody Bellinger. I would be really sad to see him go, but he's an outfielder that would really help you right now. And so if you're not going to trade Ohtani, you have to be buyers. You have to go all in. You have to trade the farm. You have to get rid of everyone and grab as much pieces as you can to make a run. Because if you don't get into the playoffs and if you don't go far, Shohei's going to leave and all of this was pointless.
Yeah. I mean, you got some great points there with the back end of what you were saying. But the first part of it, what you were saying, when you were going against the grain, Joseph, I disagree with you. I'm in. Joseph want to sit up here and
I figured you would be.
Yeah, Joseph want to sit up here and talk about not getting rid of Ohtani. He's 13.74% of your payroll. That is a lot to pay someone when you have just this year remaining on the deal and you gamble and he leaves in the offseason and you're left with nothing. I mean, think about it. He's 28 years old, Joey. He's getting close to 30. He doesn't want to just keep playing for the money. He wants to win a championship. He's won championships before, but he hasn't seen the first real lick of success since he came to Los Angeles because they were on the back end of the Albert Pujols deal when he first started with the Angels. And then Mike Trout's getting older. He's not staying healthy. So when I put all that in perspective and I just think about how mother-fathering the LA Angels operate since they won their last World Series back in 2000 and mother-fathering 2, and you've got 2000 and mother-fathering 23, oh, you got me amped up right now, Joey, because you want to sit up here and you want to say that they are not going to trade Ohtani, and they might not, and I might be getting amped up for nothing. But I'm the heart and soul of this mother-fathering show. And when it comes to a situation where I disagree with my panelists, I have to get amped up. And that moment starts right now in episode 97. For the first time without dying, I'm going to go off on this topic when it comes about the Los Angeles Angels. The last time I got this amped up, I almost died. We're not going to go there today because it is episode 97. And we have LA Angels. And we have a person who is the generational Babe Ruth since 100 years ago. Someone who can bat, someone who can play the field, someone who can pitch, and is a damn good pitcher at that. And then when I think about all that, and I think about what he has meant to this team, and you haven't built enough around him to even be remotely successful, you're 7.5 games out of first place right now. You mother-fathering suck, and you're going to just gamble with the offseason and see if, he's going to come back and sign a lucrative deal and be 18% of our payroll, and we're still going to suck. Why would he want to do that? He would take a pay cut if he was smart and go somewhere like a team that you had mentioned earlier, like the Cincinnati Reds, like, the Orioles potentially. In the Orioles, he could still DH and pitch at the same time because you don't really have this. Well, they did change the rules not too long ago, so take that back. But when I think about everything, he would much rather be on a team where he has an opportunity to win a game, Joseph, to win a championship, to get to the playoffs and even taste remote success. And you haven't had that while you've been with the Los Angeles motherfucking Dodgers. You want to sit up here and say, we shouldn't trade him to another team. No, you should, because if you trade him, you get value back. If you trade him to the Reds, who are definitely playing very well this season with a very young L.A. De La Cruz, and you get some of those prospects in return, what they got in the farm system, what you're talking about, or Baltimore also has a very deep farm system as well, and you make a deal with either one of those teams, maybe a three-way deal, in trades, and get Shohei Ohtani to a team where you can actually have success on, you win. You get prospects for the future. Shohei Ohtani gets to try out a new place, see if he wants to sign there in the offseason. And also, historically, sometimes, Joseph, you make a trade, you get prospects back. What if Ohtani really wants to stay in Los Angeles? He'll sign during the offseason because he'll be a free agent. So don't come up in here on my baby, on my show, talk that mess.
Dude, I'm just saying, the GM and the owner have both said that they are not trading Ohtani. And at the end of the day, it's not up to Ohtani whether he gets traded. He doesn't have a no-trade clause.
Dan Snyder said he wasn't going to sell the Washington team or even change it from the formerly known as the REDSKINS. And look at what happened to him. Okay? I'm just saying.
Okay, I get what you're saying, and I'm not saying that the Angels shouldn't trade Ohtani. In fact, I think that they should. But if you're not going to, which is the whole premise of the question, that's why I left Ohtani out of it and just left it as the Los Angeles Angels should be sellers. And if the question is worded that way, then it's absolutely not, because they've said that they're going to be, that they're not going to trade Ohtani. And if you're not going to trade Ohtani, why are you going to make your team worse? I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. You've either got to keep Ohtani and be buyers, or get rid of Ohtani and be sellers. That's the only way that this works. So that's the only point I'm trying to make here, man.
Joseph, I might have to agree with Ike on this when it comes to this statement right here. Ike even comes back, during that commercial break and says he always loves the peanut butter and jellies commercial. Well, you'll get to see it again after round 4. We'll have that set of commercials going back after round 4 as a teaser right there for you, Ike. Ike even Ike doesn't give a fuck is on the money with that, because I even said the same thing when it comes to trading Ohtani. Joseph, you're eventually going to have to do this.
Acknowledge me.
Because when it comes to the situation right here, if he leaves in the offseason, what a huge gamble and a waste that was to not get anything in return with the last bit of the season left to get something back in compensation.
I really thought that the Angels should have done the Mets philosophy this offseason and just tried to outspend everybody. And then at that point, then maybe we're talking contender. But even then, the Mets are awful because that team just doesn't match. So
Verlander.
it's one of those things, man, where it's it's tough because I want them to trade Shohei, and I would love to see him go to a team like the O's or the Reds, or heck, even trade him to the Dodgers. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. Who he goes to, who he ends up getting traded to, because whoever he gets traded to is automatically a playoff contender,
yes.
Automatically. So it's just one of those things. I would love to see them trade him, but they've said that it's not going to happen. And if it's not going to happen, they have to be buyers.
It's definitely interesting, your take on it. And, we combated on that back and forth. We got a couple more comments in here as well. 20-year, $3 billion TV contract. The Angels aren't hurting for cash or worried about the balance sheets, says Deets. How do you feel about that, Joey?
No, I absolutely agree with that statement. And that's why I said, they should have gone with the Mets philosophy. The Angels financially are one of the most financially stable teams out there. They have one of the largest checkbooks that you can even think of when it comes to, how they are able to dole out money to players. That's how they are able to have both Trout and Ohtani. The problem is they never have any starting pitching, and that's what comes back to bite them, because that's why you'll see some, ridiculous headline that says Mike Trout hit 3 home runs, Ohtani hit 4 home runs, as the Angels lose
by 6
15 to 15. It's ridiculous because they don't have any pitching whatsoever. And so if they were to somehow miraculously go out and get 2 starters 2, 3 starters. I mean, it doesn't matter. The Angels need help, and I don't think that their owner knows how to fix it, and I don't think that he will.
It's gonna be interesting to see what happens there in LA. I mean,
it's a fun topic, and that's why I wanted to write it the way that I did.
You definitely wrote it very interesting, and you probably knew I was going to get amped up with your answer and what you said, and you were very right, spot on with that one. Verlander and Mets will come back this season too.
Oh man, I don't even what? No, hold on. I gotta look up the NL East standings. Hold on,
Joey. They are 18 and a half games out. They are 46 and 53, Ike. And I still had the standings up for when I was looking up the Angels earlier. Just clicked over to the National League and looked and saw 18 and a half games out.
Yeah.
18 and a half games out. This is sad. Like this is a whole new low even for you, and especially what you said to get next. Subway Series 2. As he's guessing that the Yankees will come back.
No.
Mets will come back for Subway Series 2. And the Mets win it all.
Would you please shut the hell up?
It is time for Jim Moore to make an appearance on the In or Out Sports Debate.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
On Ike, what in the father is wrong with you with that whole synopsis right there? Talking about the Mets are going to win it all. Talking about it's going to be a Subway Series 2, and Verlander and the Mets will come back this season. Have you not been watching baseball since spring training?
Yeah, for real. I mean, in spring training, if you would have said Subway Series, I might have believed you. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I said something along those lines that we could be seeing a Subway Series. But no, God, no.
I mean, even Deets over here saying, Ike, take it from a Mets fan. They ain't winning blank. And I can only imagine what that word is that Deets is saying, but he's doing the right thing and expletiving himself. Guys, we've gone through 3 great rounds on this show so far. Before we go into round 4, we've gone through round 3 already. We got some breaking news that I have to share with And that breaking news is this. Next Monday, July 31st, we get one more episode in the month of July for the In or Out Sports Debate as Rob Johnson is here next Monday, 8:05 p.m. Eastern Time. And soon later this week, I'll be announcing who will be on for Tuesday's episode 99. We are going to get to episode 100 in the next 2 weeks. It has been a long way coming. We're now 3 years in. We're going to hit 100 episodes. Thank you guys who've been tuning into this show and keeping it going and interesting for myself as well as everyone else. We've gone through 3 great rounds so far on this show. And next we have the round 4, the By the Numbers segment. Joey, for episode 97, we're about to debate what we've got for that one.
Round 4.
And here for round 4, SIMEON RICE is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 97 in all of sports history. Joey, how do you feel about this topic at hand right here? Do you agree with the statement at hand? Do you agree with SIMEON RICE, or are you out on this one?
This one was really, really tough for me. I would argue that this is probably the toughest by the numbers that I've done so far, and I've been on this show a long time. But I'm going to say out. I'm going to go with Jeremy Roenick. He was drafted by the Chicago Blackhawks and played for, God knows, like every NHL team ever. Not really, just the Phoenix Coyotes, Philadelphia Flyers, Los Angeles Kings, San Jose Sharks, and the Chicago Blackhawks. But he is one of only 3 American-born players to actually score 500 goals. He's a Hall of Famer, played an 18-season NHL career, 9-time NHL All-Star. He was an absolute stud, scored 1,216 points during his career. Arguably one of the best American-born hockey players, to ever play in the NHL. And so that's why I'm going to go with him. But but Simeon Rice was a hell of a football player.
Yeah, Joey definitely picked someone who's very, very good with wearing number 97. And, Jeremy Roenick, did have a lengthy career in the NHL. He won the Canada Cup as well and part of the Winter Olympics, winning a silver medal. So, I have to give him credit on that and did his homework when it came to old Jeremy Roenick. But for the first time in quite some time, I didn't really do any wordplay on Joseph. I'm actually going to go in and disagree with him on that. Simeon Rice was a dominant force for multiple teams. He didn't play for almost every team in the league like Jeremy Roenick did, according to Joseph, but he did play for some multiple teams and was also most notably part of that Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that won that Super Bowl in 2002. Not only that, played a very big role in with what he did because he was a defensive end and had a very big part on that explosive defensive team. When you think of Warren Sapp and the other dogs, as they say, on that defense, because you had Brad Johnson as your quarterback. Think about that, Joey. You might not even really know who Brad Johnson is. That was before you really were walking around. You're still probably crapping your Huggies when Brad Johnson was playing. To be honest, and even when he started the league, I think it was before you were born. So yeah, Brad Johnson was part of that Tampa Bay team that was playing when you were in Huggies crapping your pants. And when I think about Brad Johnson playing in 2002 for Tampa Bay, that was his best season by far because you also had the Golden Goose head coach that just came from the Raiders and being Chucky, old John Gruden, which, I know his name is kind of taboo now because of how bad he was in those emails and did some bad stuff, as far as his verbiage with his words back and forth to Bruce Allen when they were formerly known as the REDSKINS at that point. And when it comes to old Chucky running that team and it comes to the players that were on that team, he spoke very highly Simeon Rice and how impactful he was to that Super Bowl. Playing defensive end, not a easy position to play. And he also was the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year in 1996. Was the first team All-Pro in 2002, two-time second team All-Pro in 99 and 03, three-time Pro Bowler in 99, 02, and 03, NFL Forced Fumbles co-leader in 2003, and also won the Jack Lambert Trophy in 1995 in college and had some great historic numbers there as well. Starting with the Arizona Cardinals in his first 5 years, then going to Tampa Bay in his second season there, getting that Super Bowl, then going to the Denver Broncos, the Indianapolis Colts, and the New York Sentinels, finishing out his career, on a different team in the UFL, but still trying to prove that he had a little something left in the tank at the age of 35 going to the UFL. When I think of someone who played 97 and was tough, Jeremy Roenick, it was this one was a tough one, like you said, probably one of the tougher ones I've had in 97 episodes, and we started doing the By the Numbers segment on episode 17, so this is literally the 80th episode, 81st episode, where I've done these By the Numbers segments with all of the different panelists that have been here. And this was, I'd have to put in my top three at least. I can't specifically say in this moment if it was the toughest, but I know it was very tough for me to go back and forth because I almost picked Jeremy Roenick too, just because, he was huge, to the game of hockey. I remember playing NHL back in the day. NHL, I believe it was 98, playing NHL 98 when he played and playing on freaking PlayStation. On the original PlayStation, not like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, because he did have a lengthy career. He did play from 1988 to 2009, played for 22 seasons, and I got to give it up to him for a lengthy career of what he did. But, when I think of dominance, and I put all these different things through my head of thinking the best person to wear 97 when I see the stack up, I'm just a homer for football, Joseph, and you know it, and I know it. And when it comes to this statement right here, I have to give it to good old Simeon Rice when it comes to the best to ever wear number 97. What do you think about my take, Joseph?
No, like you said, there's no wrong answer here. I think either of these two players could wear that title. It was a tough decision, and Simeon Rice was a great player. We'll see if eventually someone retires and takes that spot, but for now, I think between these two guys, I definitely think it's it's a tough decision. Either or is probably the best.
Dietz actually has a different person thrown there. Russell Maryland out of the University of Miami. He was a beast and number 1 overall pick at the defensive tackle position. That's actually a really, really good pick by Dietz. Joseph, what is your take on Russell Maryland? Have you heard of him before in your past?
I have not.
He's a little bit before your time. I'll give you this. And the reason why Dietz is doing this, because he is a homer for the Dallas Cowboys. And Russell Maryland played for the Dallas Cowboys, 3-time Super Bowl champion. Doesn't think that I know this is a Washington team of football. Hashtag WTF. Hashtag REDSKINS. Hashtag whatever you call it. I am a fan of the team, but I also cover them unbiasedly, and I also am aware of Russell Maryland and his impact to the Dallas Cowboys. However, Joseph's research took a blind eye to that, and I appreciate it. And I, of course, do everything I can to not acknowledge the Dallas Cowboys. Just everyone hates the Dallas Cowboys, who is a real person out here in these streets. I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding. But when it comes to Russell Maryland, no, he did play very well at that number at 97. Did mean a lot to the Dallas Cowboys and their reign of terror in the 90s, getting those 3 Super Bowls, then leaving, going to the Oakland Raiders between 96 and 99, and finishing his career in 2000 with the Green Bay Packers. So he was definitely up there on the list. I did my research on him too, Dietz, but at the same time, we're not giving it to him. And it's more of my college football bias. Okay, Dietz, yeah, because you do like to call for the U2, so I'll give you that. But just coincidentally, he won 3 Super Bowls with the Cowboys. Okay? And that's your team as well. So yeah, it's just a huge coincidence, Dietz. It's a huge coincidence. He also says that's why I mentioned this Hurricanes career. Yeah, you did. So I'll give you that. But I just have to give you a hard time just because he is a Cowboys player. And Ike doesn't give a fuck comes back with Joey Bosa is the best to wear 97, guys.
He's no.
Yeah.
No.
When you compare Joey Bosa, his brother Nick is better than he is, for one.
I would agree.
His younger brother Nick is better, which that happens sometimes. And 2, you want to compare him to a 3-time Super Bowl champion and Russell Maryland, for 1. 2, you want to compare him to a guy who played 21 years in the NHL, as physical as that is, with Jeremy Roenick. And 3, you want to compare him to another Super Bowl champion who did play for 14, 15 years in the league of the NFL at a position that's very hard to play that long in. No, we're not giving it to Joey Bosa here. When it comes to this, and again, I can't tell you this enough. When it comes to your role,
you should know your role and shut your mouth.
Especially coming at deep. I gotta
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Ike, you seem like the type person that if we caught you out here in the street, you would jump in the car if we were the law and run away from it.
You're tripping about the whole situation. Let me get my husband on the line.
Okay.
Big 21, big 25 with.
Big 25. I got one run.
Joseph, what is going on? You share the name Joey Bosa. You share the name Joey and Bosa, and you don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. Where is Ike coming from when it comes to this? Because even he's saying, I'm not tripping, y'all. He's the best. Simply the best. Oh, what are you, Tina Turner now? Singing Simply the Best in the background? Simply the best! No, we are not doing that when it comes to Joey Bosa on this show. Better than yeah, absolutely, Joseph. Absolutely. We know the song. With all that said, this is too much shenanigans for me at this moment. We got to go to another commercial break. When we come back, we will have the final round. And then we got to acknowledge Joseph in the Vault of Fame one more time before we roll on out of here. Let's go ahead and see what we got for this commercial break.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
And now a word from a non-accredited sponsor.
This episode of the In or Out Sports Debate is brought to you by peanut butter and jealous. When you're feeling a little blue based on what others are doing around you, spread a little peanut butter and jealous on your sandwich to make yourself feel whole again.
Yeah. But hey, that was last year. And what did he do? He was out.
Right. And now he's in.
But he's been out for an entire year. It's not, you can't think he's going to make the same impact that he did before he was suspended.
I'm telling you, he won't have to.
What?
See how
Is he going to keep his phone down and not make bets?
Come
on, man.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look. Hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. Hey, $sign DWillie87. Go ahead and hit him up on the Cash App and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen. Stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks, and we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. Some Willie Bucks.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Welcome back to a show where we have just as many commercials as a TNT broadcast. The Sports Senseis Unleashed.
I hate you, Joe.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for episode 90, Mother, Father, and 7 of the In or Out Sports Debate with good old JR, Joey Raymond. As we've gone through 4 great rounds, 2 commercial breaks, and we got 1 final round to go. Before we do that, we got some comments. Melvin Turismo is in the house. I guess he checked us out during the commercial break as he says, Willie Bucks, yes, they're coming at you hot and heavy. And if you want to make a donation there, Melvin Turismo, you can this up right here, cash.app /$ DWillie87. Thank you to one and all who can contribute to the show. As we have aforementionedly said, we now have 1 final round to go through with Joseph, and we're going to talk a little bit of Washington Commanders action. It's tough for me to say that name. Please change the name. Magic Johnson, as you said, as we go into the final round.
Final round.
And here, Joseph, for the final round, the last time I will ever use Dan Snyder's face, as you wrote it in this statement, and I liked it. So because of that, we had to use him in a graphic one more time, as the Washington Commanders will improve their performance on the field now that Dan Snyder is gone. How do you feel about this one, Joey? Do you agree with the statement at hand? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I think that's the best Photoshop that you've done in a minute. That's amazing. I love the Magic Johnson. That's incredible. With that being said, I'm going to go out on this topic. Don't get me wrong, Dan Snyder and his off-the-field antics will help minimize the distractions for the Washington Commanders. However, I do think that the Washington Commanders are still a bad football team. The way that they're built and what this ownership group is inheriting is not good. They don't have a quarterback, or at least a pronounced one. Their defense got torn in shreds almost every single game that they played last season. And then they rank near the bottom in almost every statistical category that there is to have in the National Football League. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love that Dan Snyder is gone, and I think that way later down the road, we could be talking about a competitive Commanders team. But if we're talking about this season, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that there's too much work to do with this roster, and I don't think that you're going to be able to flip it in off season. I think that there's other priorities that they maybe should go towards first, rather than, maybe trying to flip the roster like right this very second. They've got to do something about that stadium. They've got to do something about the fact that the NFL Players Association this year rated the Washington Commanders as the worst team to play for. So there's a lot of work to do, and it's really tough for me to get behind the Washington Commanders. They're such a bad football team. I mean, I know they went 8-8, but I mean, that's a tough division to win in when you've got the Eagles and the Cowgirls to compete with. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna say out for now, but I hope that they prove me wrong.
Thank you for finishing with that, Joseph. Like, you've been letting me down this entire take. I disagree with you. I am in. I even hesitated clicking the button. I was so upset at Joseph for a second. I had to the hone what I was saying. Now he's coughing in the background. Sorry, Joseph. But you're going to sit up here on this mother, father, and show that has Washington Commanders' glorious colors in its logos of SIRTOBA Media. And now with the freshly done In or Out Sports Debate logo, you are going to sit up here and just speak about my team as if they are just garbage. Like, they are just hot garbage, the worst team in the league. No, Joseph, they are not the worst team in the league. And yes, you had it close. They were 8-1. They had a tie last year, Joseph. They had a tie. Okay, so it might make it slightly worse in my case. But when I think about everything, they were very close to still winning this division last year. On top of that, without a quarterback, on top of that, there's 3 spots in the wild card, and they almost made history as we almost saw all 4 NFC East teams make the playoffs. Because we would have had a division winner, and then we would have had all 3 of the other teams make it. But unfortunately, the quarterback dwellings, mainly Ron Rivera making the worst call of putting Carson Wentz in there after sitting out for weeks and not starting Taylor Heineke, who was doing all right. Now, was he doing okay to be considered the starting quarterback this offseason? Maybe not. And that's why he went to Atlanta. But we have someone in the reins who has been waiting for a season, and that being Sam Howell. And now I know some of you, and we talked about in this previous episodes past couple weeks, give me a hard time talking about because he comes from the ACC and he comes from UNC, and it's not really known for producing high-caliber quarterbacks, which if you read one of my latest articles on MBS Media, bing, you can see exactly what I was talking about when it comes to Sam Howell in this situation right here. If you give him a chance during the offseason, he is a proven leader. He is a proven winner. And he won his lone game that he started last year. Was his numbers immaculate, like what we've seen from Brock Purdy in his debut season last year? No, Joseph, they weren't. But he only had 1 game to give that opportunity. But when I think about what they've done during this offseason, they've made some moves on both sides of the ball. Not as big of moves as like some teams like maybe the Jets would make to alter their roster, but they have made some moves. With bringing in the new ownership that's going to bring a new spark of life. And you came this close to making the playoffs. If you go this season and you are 9-8, that's still better than 8-1. That still improves their performance on the field. You didn't say anything in this topic about improving their performance where they win a championship this season because Dan Snyder is mother, father, and God. No, you did not say this in this statement, and I read it a couple times just to make sure that's exactly what you were talking about. And what I'm talking about right here is the Washington Commanders will improve their performance because the flow of the locker room is going to be different. The front office is going to be different. The chemistry is going to be there. There's going to be a lot better morale. You've got someone in the name of Irvin Magic Johnson who is a proven champion wherever he goes. On the court as a basketball player, off the court as an owner, especially when it comes to multiple sports outside of basketball because he won it with the LA Dodgers just a couple of years ago. So when I think about that with baseball, now it's time for Magic to get a championship in D.C. with the football team. Is it going to happen this year or next year? No, it is not. Can it happen within the next 10 years when they have a new stadium and they have the money in the backing goes up to where they can afford more talent? They just said the other day that they were proposing to have a new stadium built, a new dome stadium built before 2031. That's still going to be a ways out, and they'll have to make some renovations to FedEx, or they could potentially just go back to RFK and save some money that way, demolish FedEx, sell the property, whatever, because you still own it, and move in a different direction and still build your stadium. And they could tear down FedEx if they wanted to and just build on the same property if they really wanted to and just fix around it. Yes, the Washington Commanders have been a trash team, as they say on Snowman in the Morning and Snowman Multimedia, okay, and what Cole Johnson is, and I love that statement. Yes, they have been trash in several aspects, and especially the front office, how they treated their coworkers, and which is why most of them walked out the door or, left on bad circumstances. When I think about the new regime that's going on now with the sale, with Dan Snyder being gone, the whole, is he going to sell? Is he not going to sell? Though, is he going to change the name? Not going to change the name. But they changed the name sucks. Now you got Magic Johnson potentially talking about how he's going to change it back to a name, or they are going to change it back potentially within the next season. Now, with it being almost the 1st of August, it's too late in the year to do that now. And we learned that the first time around in 2020 when they were formerly known as the REDSKINS, and they had to have the name change, and they couldn't do it to an actual name yet because of trademarking or licensing. They had to do it as just the Washington football team. And that stuck for 2 seasons until they come up with a legitimate name. Well, unfortunately, they didn't come up with a legitimate name because the name motherfather sucks. And now you have Magic Johnson and Josh Harris, who are proven leaders in other directions. Has Josh Harris won a championship with the 76ers? No, but he still kept a respectable franchise in Philadelphia. When it comes to Magic Johnson, though, wherever he's been a leader, he has proven that he can get the job done. And it might take 5 years. It might take 10 years. But hell, as a fan, let alone somebody who covers the team and writes for them unbiasedly, as you can see, I throw shade at them. I just did with my statements that I just had here where I was throwing shade on the name. I was throwing shade on old Danny Boy, and I was throwing shade on, yes, they have been trash on the field at times, Joseph. But when you have a chance in weeks 16 and 17 and 18 in the season, well, more so in weeks 15, 16, by that point, when going into 17, they were out of it by 18. So when you're still in the mix towards the latter part of the season, and you were just this close, and Sam Howell was your winning quarterback for your last win, I have to give them the edge here when it comes to improving their performance. But in your statement, you did not say anything about going to the playoffs or winning the Super Bowl. I had to get a close-up on Joseph's face as I was saying it because of the statement at hand.
No, you're right. I worded it that way on purpose. I still don't think that they're going to be better than 8-1 this year.
Well, now you throw the one in there.
Okay. That's because you corrected me. Okay. But as someone who watched ACC football pretty religiously, especially when Sam Howell was playing, I don't like Sam Howell as a quarterback. I don't. And I don't know that anything is going to convince me that he can be, especially in big games, because, the big game that I got to see him play in person was the opening night game when North Carolina was ranked number 10 and they went into Blacksburg, and Virginia Tech's defense, who, keep in mind, went on to lose a crap load of games that season, absolutely torched Sam Howell, because Virginia Tech ended up losing I think it was like six or 7 games that season. So, I don't know. There's just nothing that'll convince me that Sam Howell could be an NFL level quarterback. He hasn't done it yet, and I don't think he's going to. That's a big problem for me. And when you have a guy like Taylor Heineke, who's at least a solid quarterback, who, your coach, even though he's proven that he's a solid quarterback, decides, oh, you know what? Forget it. We don't even care that you've been playing good. We're going to put in the terrible quarterback.
He's not terrible, Joseph. He won the damn game.
Carson Wentz didn't.
Carson Wentz would not have been able to do what Sam Howell did against the Cowboys. He proved it when they put him back in there and he lost and got him kicked out of the playoff contention.
I agree with that. But originally he put Carson Wentz in. So to me, that doesn't put a lot of faith in me in Ron Rivera. Like, I don't have a lot of faith for that because of the fact that he can't decide who his quarterback's going to be when he had a proven starter who can at least be competitive. And that's the part for me that really doesn't lead me to believe that their on-field performance is going to be better because your head coach didn't change. Because at the end of the day, is Ron Rivera really your destiny when it comes to winning a Super Bowl? Do you really look at Ron Rivera and see a Super Bowl caliber coach? And at the end of the day, I don't. I think that they should maybe consider going in a different direction. But if you have that faith in Ron Rivera, then you've got to get him some players because he doesn't have any right now.
I mean, look, they got Eric Bieniemy in there as the offensive coordinator. Who's to say that by the end of the season he doesn't step down, work in the front office, and then Eric Bieniemy steps up? Because those questions have been circling Riverboat Run for quite some time there, Joey. I mean, you do have a good point there. But usually the first season with a new owner, they're feeling it out. They want to see how their front office goes. And with the sale going on so late into the offseason, we only have less than a month pretty much before we actually start seeing live football on TV with the preseason and the season just underway. They're not going to be making any mass hirings or firings or anything as far as in these big time positions that affect the overall performance of the team. They got to pretty much evaluate what they have on paper. Just like, with Best Buy, taking a dump in some places. I know you're going to be careful with your wordage there because you're still there, but I'm not. And I'm just going to say, like, when it looks like in public, they're hitting the skids. And at some point in the next 5-10 years, they could potentially end up like Circuit City. And, that's exactly what happened here. We have new ownership that's trying to save this franchise from being in a situation like the Oakland Athletics are, having to move to Las Vegas because they're on the verge of falling like completely into the hole of no return unless they do relocate because they don't have any type of viewership and they're not producing on the field. So they got to at least change the venue, very similar to how the Raiders did in football. And now this could potentially save Washington from losing their team. Because had Dan Snyder kept this team in Washington, ran it completely into the ground, then sold it or was forced to sell it, kind of like how Donald Sterling was in the NBA at that one point with the Clippers, then we could have seen this potential team that's been very storied in Washington since 1932, 1933, because they were in Boston for that first year. We could see this team being forced to move from a place that's been for a very long time, and a lot of fans would have been upset.
Yeah, and honestly, like I'm excited to see what they do, especially when it comes to the stadium aspect of it. From a personal standpoint, I wouldn't mind if they moved it on this side of DC and brought it to Virginia. I think that would be really cool. But I really feel like there's a lot of work to do, and I don't think that this late into the offseason that they're going to be able to make enough strides as far as like on-field personnel to really make a difference in their on-field performance. But I mean, who knows? A couple years down the road, like you said, this is a group that has proven that they can win. And I really feel like, when it's all said and done, I mean, we could be talking about the Commanders being pretty competitive, but it's going to take a minute. So we'll see how this turns out, man.
It's going to be interesting to see how things pan out. And we've got some comments here from certain individuals in this chat. And looks like Dietz and Ike you've been here for the majority of the show. Thank you guys for commenting because you've definitely been very active in the chat. And we appreciate it. Ike definitely likes you and being out on this topic right here. Tell him, Joseph. As he is a Go Cowboys fanatic, so him and Dietz are in the same boat when it comes to pulling for the Cowboys. Washington still sucks, Drew, and when it comes to your opinion, Ike,
Ain't nobody care. Who cares? Ain't nobody care.
This
You can't handle the truth.
they aren't the worst team in the NFL. They don't completely suck. Let's see.
No, that belongs to my Carolina Panthers.
They made some moves during the offseason, though. You got a new head coach over there. You never know. They could turn some things around. You got Adam Thielen over there as a wide receiver, too. You actually got a reliable target you could throw to with veteran experience in the slot. You could help you out.
Yeah, I still have no faith. I have this really bad habit of falling in love with teams that are going to let me down. It's my toxic trait.
I mean, we all have one at some point, depending on what it is. Well, losing Dan Snyder helped the offensive line block anyone. Their offensive line is offensive in every sense of the word. They are offensive. They are offensive in every sense of the word. Yes, Dietz, that has been, especially since Trent Williams left, that's been one of the biggest negatives about this team is that offensive line and keeping the quarterback upright. Especially when you look back even to 2012, like RG3's rookie season where he had that dominant season. That was the last time that they worked semi-cohesively, and even at points throughout that season, they fell apart, which is why he got injured in the first place. So, they were nowhere near as bad as what they have been in recent years at that point, 11 years ago. But that offensive line has definitely needed some work. They did address it a little bit this offseason. There wasn't any huge big-time names brought in there, but they did make some moves to address that offensive line. Only time will tell to see if this offensive line, their health status, and how they gel in a new offense. Because Eric Bieniemy is changing this offense up because he has full reign of the offense now. There's no question about it. The old coordinator and Turner is gone, and now we have, Eric Bieniemy, who is a 2-time Super Bowl winning champion. Now, was he fully in control of the offense in Kansas City? No, because Andy Reid, the mastermind guru in the offensive play calling, was in charge of that there in Kansas City. However, Eric Bieniemy had a hand in it, and he was pretty much an understudy to one of the greatest play callers in the history of the NFL. So I like the chances this year, Joey. I know you're completely throwing shade at this team, but I really like the chances that they improve just a little bit. And again, Joseph, if they go 9-8, that's still better than 8-1. That's still an improvement. And I will say it's because Dan Snyder is out, Eric Bieniemy is in as the offensive coordinator, and we have better leadership at the top of the food chain.
Now, I got to rebuttal that with a question.
Uh-oh.
Do you think that their season is successful if they finish 8-1 again? If they finish the exact same, their season's successful.
No, it's the same as last year, what you did with old Dan Snyder and the hogwash going on in the background. No, it's not a success. It's the same mediocre finish. But if that one tie turns into a victory and they go 9-8, that's an improvement. If they go 8-9, that's backwards. Because it's one more loss. And they have to at least finish 9-8 to be improved. And honestly, I'd love for them to do better than that. I'd love for them to be 11-6, at least. And then that you are no question going to get into the playoffs at that point and can, see what you can do. Will they make any noise in the first round if that happens? Maybe not. But just getting to the playoffs with the new ownership in the first year would be a huge improvement. Going 9-8 would also be a huge improvement. But if you are 8-1 or worse, definitely not an improvement from what you have from the past season or beyond.
Yeah.
So let's see what else we got. Riverboat Ronnie gets the shaft, says Ike doesn't give a fuck. And I don't think so.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, to the no.
I think if anything, they play a little bit better, maybe just a little bit better, and it's not good enough for the front office. And they make the suggestion because of his contributions to the team. Ron Rivera was part of what the name change was to the Commanders, so at least help them get out of that black hole of what was the Washington football team. But when I think about all that and I put all that in perspective, I don't think Riverboat Ron gets the shaft. I gotta take that out of the equation right there when it comes to that. So, Riverboat Ronnie getting the shaft. I don't think so, Ike. That's not happening when it comes to that. Let's see what other comments we got here. Latina and Callie is here. What's up, Latina? You finally made it as we are in the final round of the show. There's still a little bit left. There's still a little bit of entertainment left as Joseph is back in the house as well. But we also have, you missed this last comment, Joseph. It says Riverboat Ronnie gets the shaft. Is when you had to dip out for a second. What do you think about that?
Dude, I wouldn't be upset if it happened. I just don't have any confidence in him, and that's my biggest thing. Is like I really feel like you need to be in a position with your head coach that he's making the decisions that are right for the football team. And clearly last year he did not make the right decision when it came to Carson Wentz or Taylor Heineke. So the fact that this is a new season, he can start fresh. Maybe he proves us wrong. But it wouldn't shock me if Ron Rivera is not the head coach of the Commanders after this season.
We'll see, Joseph. We'll see. Latina and Cali goes back with, I was super busy today taking my kids to guitar lessons and activities night. Well, that's awesome. Definitely good to get out of the house, not having to play too many video games, getting them out, doing stuff, and especially learn how to play guitar. As you see up in that corner right there, I have some experience plucking a guitar, too, back in my day. I'm semi-retired now, but this music that you hear in the background, in the intro and the outro, some of the stuff, I did play the bass in some of these songs that I've been playing throughout SIRTOBA Media. That I've been playing. I've been bringing back music that's been in the archives the past 6 or 7 years, and I didn't play all of it. I played some of it, had a little bit of a hand into it, and it's cool to be able to use some music that's homegrown talents through the audio recordings. And our next comment that we have is, let's be honest, Joseph, Eric Bieniemy is the head coach by week 6. That's a pretty bold prediction. What do you think about that?
That is a bold prediction. I don't know that it'll happen that quick. I don't even know if Eric Bieniemy is the right choice. I mean, Drew makes some very awesome and valid points about Eric Bieniemy, but I don't know. He has like almost no head coaching experience, and that worries me too. But who knows? We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Lieutenant Cali comes back with super with the cool emoji, super cool emoji. And then we have Ike doesn't give a fuck coming back with another comment. Screw Bieniemy, he gets fired too, Deets. Says Ike doesn't give a fuck. Well, you know what, Ike?
Let me talk to you.
Ike, I have just about had it on this episode when it comes to you misspelling Deets' name, for one. Think of the name Diet, okay? The word diet, and put a Z on the end. That's all it is. That's how you spell Deets. That's one. Two, you gotta stop with the trolls comments sometimes, because I just want to tell
Would you please shut the hell up?
Because when you are watching this show and you've got to look at the overall production from start to middle to mother, father, and finish.
I am the game. And I am that damn good.
And if you have a problem with that, you can come up with your own podcast. I'll tune in. As long as you don't make it during a time where I have my show, I will tune in and I will let you know just how great you are at your show. Other than that, you stay out of it and stop misspelling Deets. Had to have a little fun there at the end, just messing with Ike. Ike, thanks for the trollish participation throughout the show. Thank you all for the participation throughout the show and the comments. We definitely appreciate it. We have a little bit left before we get out of here. Keep those comments coming.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Absolutely, as we now have to acknowledge Joseph induction again into the Vault of Fame.
Acknowledge me.
And that's right. Joseph Raymond is now in the Vault of Fame once again. He is now an 18-time Vault of Fame inductee. On episode 97, JR moves on up the leaderboard just a little bit, as he's been in first place for quite some time. He is now moved to where he has got 18 appearances. Rob Johnson, who will be on here next week, who's got 14 appearances in second place. Kyle Nash was 7 in third place. D.O. Darrell Owens in fourth place with 6. Corey Mann in 5th with 5 appearances. James Brown and P. Alexander Wiley in 6th with 4 appearances apiece. And then we also have 7 contestants tied for 6th place and 2, and for 2 appearances tied, with 5 panelists tied for the last place there when it comes to the rankings of the leaderboard. You're watching this show on SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome, which you can find on these plugs right here on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, where the struggle is real to be awesome. You can check us out as well as SIRTOBA Com. We are again here for episode 97 of the In or Out Sports Debate. We got one more segment to go through, and that is the final word. Let's see what we can give them there, Joseph. Joseph, been on here 18 motherfathering times. You know the drill. When it comes to the final word in the In or Out Sports Debate, what is your final word? Go ahead and give it to these luscious fans out here in these streets.
Well, I think first and foremost, I need to give a shout out to Snowman.
Yes.
Because he gave me a shout out earlier. And I just want to say, dude, Snowman, that's awesome. I respect the heck out of that. Yeah, I am a little nuts, but you know, the best people are. Being normal is boring. Secondly, like I think we're at a point where I'm so excited because the trade deadline is coming up. It's August 1st. Baseball is going to be hectic the next couple days as we get into it. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to see who goes where. It could be at a point where we see less trades strictly just because of the fact that more teams get into the playoffs. So there's going to be less sellers. So I'm interested to see how all that pans out. And then lastly, I'm super old tomorrow. I turn 26.
Joseph, what old is tell the people again, how old is super old to you?
I'm turning 26 tomorrow. I feel super old. I'll put it that way.
Joseph, I motherfather and hate you right now.
I know you do.
I'm 10 years your senior and have lived like another type of life, it seems like, in that time frame that I was in my 20s. So definitely you have a long way to go.
I know.
All I can say is, definitely like you've got over there, keep one of these filled with water, make sure you hydrate, as I've learned the other side of that, and other health aspects. But Joseph had a great final word. When it comes to the final word,
Let me talk to you.
When it comes to this situation right here, I first of all want to thank the fans for being here and discussing several topics with us in the comments and being here and being awesome with us for 97 episodes. And for those of you who followed me from the previous network to this one, and, I can see you in the comments, I can see what you're saying. I appreciate every single thing that you do. Some of you who have been donating through Cash App, it has been happening. You guys have been donating. Every little bit helps because, I'm freelance now for the most part. The StreamYard stuff I pay for, and the editing stuff I pay for, and it makes it all worthwhile because you're only as good as your tools. Like when I work on my cars or whatever, work on some side projects, you're only as good as your tools. So same thing here. I'm only as good as the video production tools that I allow myself with. And every single thing that can be, thrown towards the cars, of course, I'm going to pay for it. But I'm a guy out here who works a full-time job. It's a pretty good full-time job. Joseph will tell you. But at the same time, you got to do what you can out here to get a little bit of sponsorship action. So soon we'll be advertising on SIRTOBA Media sponsorship ads where these commercials have been. There will be holes where we can have sponsorships put in there. I've already got some conversations going on with some mom and pop ones here. Got some conversations going on in the future with some more upper tier ones. And I got to give a shout out again, like Joey did, to Snowman, because Snowman's been one that's helped me steer in the right direction. Between Snowman, Kyle Nash, and some other ones who've been mentors to me, even from my previous network, and Darrell Owens, who's still been a mentor to me throughout it all. It's been great. These guys have been what's helping me get to this level. If it wasn't for Darrell, I would have never gotten into this game. I would have never started with making a 3-minute highlight video that got like 1,000 views on YouTube, and it got me the itch to keep getting better. And look at what I did here. Look at this production. I almost motherfathering died like 90 some days ago, like almost 100 days ago, while doing the show and on live air. And decisions were at bay on both sides, and look at where things are now. It's definitely got a long ways to go, and I got a ways to go to get back to the stature of where I was with that team. But I will get there, and everything will be awesome. And it's only because the people who are watching it right now or syndicated, sharing it, loving it, and doing everything they can to interact with it. And, more than just this show, I appreciate those of you acknowledging me as a human being and being there during those times that we're down. Joseph being one up, So I have to give that shout out. We are now through episode 97 of this show. We got good old JR and his fire background right there. And we got a couple comments that were made during our final word. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. Deets with a Z. Caffeine-free soda to Ike. Diet Z, he says. Okay. I'm a man. I'm 40. Absolutely. And because of that, Deets, I'll even give you that.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Absolutely. Had to give it to you one more time for that. Latina and Cali says 26 is old compared to average lifespan of folks in the time before the 1900s. Latina and Cali, come on now. The advancements of technology. What if Joseph is old at 26? Am I ancient at 36? I thought I still looked pretty damn good. Look at these long, luscious locks we got going on right here. There's no gray up in this motherfucker. You got to give it credit where credit's due.
Gorgeous.
Joseph and the luscious lock. 26 is old compared to the average life. Oh, so she said it. She accidentally said it twice. Especially if you don't have any kids yet. So if you're 20, damn, I'm ancient. I'm 36 with no kids. Holy shnikes. But hey, men can have kids a lot longer than women can. So, or at least put forth towards the fire. So I'm not upset. I'm just trying to grow out here and build an empire. If a kid too comes, cool. If not, I got more money. So that's how it is.
Hey, but I will say this. Back to your point about this show. I love that you started this show. I love that I've been able to be a part of this for as much as I have been. Between you and Darrell Owens, I love you, Dio. Y'all have been such a huge inspiration to me. So yeah, I mean, just it's amazing. I'm so happy that you decided to continue to do this, man. Like it's such an honor to come back, man. I'm really glad that you invited me back for sure.
Well, you'll definitely be back again, Joseph. We'll definitely talk more and work that out. We got some more irons in the fire as we're getting close to 100. We got to get some more other people up in here to celebrate 100 episodes. And if it wasn't for you and now 18 mother-fathering appearances, hard to believe, especially in a short amount of time. Because, I mean, it was like a rolling train last fall getting you up in here and, working together doing these episodes. And it led to your entry to contributing for Legacy Maker. And I'm glad that I could help out with that. But you're proving every bit of it worthwhile because you've been definitely doing some great things in your area. And, whenever possible, I'll definitely get you back on this show. And we'll do some great things again now for the 18th time. Now for episode 90, Mother-Fathering 7. I know I say mother-father a lot, but hey, it's just to be politically correct up here to not get banned from streaming out here in these streets. But even Latina Cali says the locks are luscious. Yes, these are some luscious locks out here. Hang on, before we go off the air, I got to give the fans. you know what I'm about to do. Just, I can't hear you, but they can see me. And I can shake the hair.
There you go.
The hair is rocking and rolling. Got some hair up in here. Almost 1,000 days of growing. And I, did not get dizzy in the slightest doing that. So that was definitely great. But guys, this has been one absolutely awesome episode 97. I can't thank you enough who've been watching it here live or watching it once it's post live, and you can go back and see the rest of it if you missed anything. Definitely been entertaining as I've been up here with the arsenal of clicking the buttons, saying stuff like this.
Let me talk to you.
Love that catchphrase. Back then, that was Eli Drake. Now he is L.A. Knight in WWE. When it comes to Stone Cold, don't be giving me that much of a hard time yet.
What?
Emmy's getting pissed, Stone Cold.
Say what again? Say what again?
You knew that was coming at some point, Joseph. I've been saving that the entire episode. I've been saving it just because.
I am the game. And I am that damn good.
Drew and Dietz, best hair in sports. Okay. I'll take it. And whoever gets this donated luscious locks of hair at some point in 2023, because I'm ready. I'm so ready to cut it. But I want to hit 1,000 days first, and I'm almost there. So let's do that, and then we'll talk we'll break bread on who's going to cut it when. But Dees, we'll get into that later. Thank you all for the participation in this show, for everything, because without the people commenting, without you guys watching it, it would not be what it is. I would not be doing this today without you. We have now gone through 97 episodes of the In or Out Sports Debate, and you know there's only one more thing left to do, Joseph. And that is look at one badass outro from my man, Joey Raymond. I am Drew Willingham. Everybody stay safe out here in these streets.
SIRTOBA Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.